Hey guys, welcome back to Major's Library. It's Alex. Thanks again for spending your time with me. Just been thinking this weekend, in between going to Easter service and spending time with the family, I was kind of chipping away at the Odyssey block and packing the orders that were coming in. Again, till War of the Spark comes out, I get to play catch up, do bookkeeping, go back, revisit some older sets. And I was reflecting on a video that I saw. It was an older video on YouTube. I completely missed it about a year and a half ago because I was working two jobs and running this thing and doing all kinds of crazy things with my life. That 8 million people stopped playing Magic the Gathering. And I've spent some time thinking about it before I decided to share my thoughts and my takeaway on that. I don't necessarily think 8 million people stopped playing Magic the Gathering. I think more people started to play Commander casually. Maybe they got into the FNM or the more serious tournament scene and then they realized that wasn't for them. I'm not sure how Wizards pulls their numbers. I don't know the story other than Wizards confirmed it. I asked other people that would know about it and they're like, oh yeah, no, 8 million people stopped playing Magic the Gathering. And I thought about the timeline of when 8 million people stopped playing Magic the Gathering because there was a time where I really had to choose which Craigslist ad I was going to respond to and go pick up collections in that area, if that makes sense. I would travel all over California and I always had stuff to pick from. There was more stuff that I could legitimately afford to buy and reasonably process and get sold. And I don't think 8 million people will stop playing. I think 8 million people or close to who heard about Magic the Gathering and thought, I can get in on this. I can run something on the side. I can buy and sell game cards and get them listed on Craigslist or eBay or whatever. Realize the amount of work that goes into this. And I relate it to some of the local game stores that I've seen come and go in my area. There are a few guys that liked to play card games and liked to play video games and they just had no business sense and they washed out and failed and it is what it is. And there's one particular store that I think of that has some fundamental sense of business and is doing well. It's all relative, it's whatever you want, I guess. But just in my heart, I know that the owner and operator doesn't care for Magic the Gathering. And when I talk to you guys about, you're thinking you want to open up an eBay business, because that's what I know. I haven't done a game store. I have no intention of doing a game store. I do it all online. You have to have a good sense of business, but I do feel like you have to have some kind of connection to the game. It has to matter to you, I think, on these down times when it's time to go get caught up on Odyssey block. I get to have a sense of nostalgia. I get to go through it. I reminisce about the old decks I used to play. And I have fun and I get through it and I can look back on old decks that I made and think, oh, this was so cool when I was in high school. And it's almost like each era of Magic the Gathering has its own sense of history, but then each of those blocks came out at a certain time in my life and I can actually reflect back and remember what I was doing in life when Odyssey was new and what I was doing when Dissension came out and all the important happenings in my life, and I can connect with those cards and I can go back to that. And so I feel like you have to have this strong sense of business and a connection to this because there is a lot of grind on this. These cards don't get in order and these shelves don't get built and none of this happens by accident. And if I really sat down and said, how much time did I put into Fate Reforged and what did I get out of it, would eat you alive, you'd go crazy. And then the other caveat of it is you can't get attached to the stuff. You do have to have a point where you go, I own this stuff to sell it. And so you got to have a healthy balance. But I just wanted to share some thoughts with you guys. I've been thinking about that 8 million player thing for a while now. Again, I had totally missed it, a year and a half ago or whenever Wizards announced that. But I've just been having some fun going through the Odyssey block. I made like a Dwarf deck and a Nomad deck, and I'm going to get the lands for them. And You know, I keep my Alaria, the War Leader deck in here. This is what I use to play Commander with my friends. I have some other broken up decks that need to get rebuilt. Again, I had a lot going on in my life a couple years ago. But, you know, in a lot of ways, this is a labor of love, and you got to know what you're doing. So I just wanted to share some thoughts with you. And I've been thinking about it. I was chipping away at the Odyssey block, and I just kind of wanted to put my 2 cents out. And if anybody cares, you know, again, I don't think 8 million people stopped playing. I think 8 million people who were doing other things than playing the game kind of realized the amount of work that goes into it. So I'll see you guys soon.